Hello my lovelies! Today we're back with another collab. A very good friend of the channel, the delightful and incredibly talented ValleyBoar. I absolutely love his setting, from the aesthetic to the fascinating lore, and our schedules finally aligned. Hooray! He's currently in the process of rebooting his world building project, building off of his original designs and taking us through his gradual refinement of his ideas. It's been such a treat to see something go through iteration and redesign in real time. It's one of my big loves about world building and just kind of general design projects. So seriously, go and check his stuff out, it's amazing. As a side note, this was also a video suggestion from the Ideas Hub over on the Patreon exclusive part of the Rootfinch Discord. So thank you to another channel friend, Professor Rad, for giving ValleyBoar and I the extra push we needed to finally make this happen. ValleyBoar actually did some art for the Golden Bone art event a while back, and it was phenomenal. His art style is just so lush and intricate, and I was floored. Inspired by that, we decided to challenge one another to design a character for one another's worlds. I'll be honest, there are so many cool types of people in his setting that I was agonizing over my choices, especially with the new lore dropping. In particular, I couldn't decide between a candle mage or a pilgrim. But then, while getting ideas, I rewatched his video that was kind of reintroducing his world building project, and something about the pilgrims suddenly just clicked. Looking closer at ValleyBoar's world, I see why I'm so drawn to it. It has a hallmark I love, which is esoteric aesthetic inspiration. There is a healthy mix of gothic, high fantasy, different historical cultures, and elements more at home anywhere up to the era of World War II. I tried to give myself a nice broad canvas of references to help me get a healthy mix of stylistic influences into my own design. I started with some sketches and studies of more medieval armour, with the intent of using it as a base and then maybe building up more onto it, but the warm-up studies just weren't doing it for me. Something didn't quite work in my mind, and I got a really bad art block for some reason. So instead, I went back to basics, and I started doing some good old-fashioned silhouettes to better help me formulate my design. Sometimes I like to do warm-up sketches and even silhouettes off-camera, as I feel less pressure if I know I'm not recording, or maybe inspiration just hits and I don't want to waste time setting up a recording. But it is nice to show as much of my design process as possible whenever I can, so I'm glad I could give you a peek. These silhouettes helped me get my shape language down a lot better, defining the broader shapes that I could then work finer detail into later. In particular, I liked the idea of some of the candles that are signature to the pilgrims being mounted into a chest plate of sorts. It creates an interesting focal point to the design that felt just unusual enough to work. ValleyBoar and I were sending a lot of DMs back and forth asking lore questions, because we're both very enthusiastic nerds. He confirmed pilgrims can be any gender, so I've decided this is a little lady, who I'm calling the Witness. More on that later. I love, as I said before, ValleyBoar's intricate art style, which is so highly detailed and grungy. It's so lush, I love it. I didn't put too much pressure on myself to imitate his art style so much as the aesthetic, the vibes if you will, but did my best to work in a healthy amount of details and grunge where I could, to really help sell that my little lady pilgrim belongs in the setting. ValleyBoar talked a lot in his video about the mysterious origin of the pilgrims, and the purpose they appear to be almost reborn with. Slightly similar to one of his own, who has set out to study and record, my pilgrim's purpose is to bear witness. She is drawn to and gravitates towards observing what she deems to be key events, such as war, large-scale expeditions into ruins, religious or cultural gatherings, and the opening or establishment of buildings and settlements. Notably, she takes a key interest less in the historical impact, but the sociological one. She appears drawn to recording witness testimony, personal anecdotes, and those present's thoughts and feelings at the time. She puts great care into learning how thoughts and feelings can shape actions, how a singular event is remembered differently in the eyes and minds of those impacted in different ways. It is unclear if she is seeking to understand the motives herself or record them for some higher purpose. I tried my best to build my design around these themes and help it better reflect all of the journeys that she's already been on. In particular, I wanted her notes and scrolls to appear on hand, ready to unfurl at a moment's notice. Her current notes are accessible through an unravelling scroll on her belt, with previous scrolls stored neatly in her backpack. Upon her belt is a number of small, high-value coins and trinkets, designed to quickly and efficiently persuade people to bear witness and give testimony to her. I tried to keep this as lore-accurate as I could, but to be fair, the fun of speculative and/or fan work is that they are almost always collaborative. That's the nature of art, world-building, creation, etc. I'm always fascinated to see other people's takes on the same piece of media, be it my own or someone else's. Which is a long-winded way of saying that I hope, ValleyBoar, that I did your world proud, if not in accuracy, then in spirit and my unbridled enthusiasm. And in that vein, let's finish this with a story. A pilgrim has joined our expedition into the ruins. I choose my words very specifically here. Joined us. I must emphasize she was not commissioned, nor hired, nor negotiated with. No, instead it seems she has invited herself along, seemingly appearing from nowhere. I could not for the life of me tell you if she emerged from above or below, followed us, or ran into us as we entered. Still, she seems very apt at handling herself, knowledgeable too. It's not as if we own these ruins after all, and an experienced adventurer voluntarily joining us, who asks for nothing in return, is a massive boon, despite her at times unsettling demeanour. The witness, as she calls herself, is the closest I've ever gotten to a pilgrim, certainly the only one I've ever spent prolonged time with. She is shorter than I envisioned, squat and wide, sturdy certainly, and deceptively strong. She is also, and I say this with no small exaggeration, absolutely abysmal when it comes to personal space. On more than one occasion, one of us has turned our heads mid-conversation to find her leaning close, noting our words and reactions. It's hard to read an expression behind that mask of hers, but the witness certainly seems fascinated, if all that furious scribbling and sketching is anything to go by. What glimpses I've caught contained diagrams, notes, questions she'd probe us with all through our sleep schedule if we'd let her. Today, two of our party leaders, Anders and Fulham, got into another of their arguments, the worst one yet. We'd reached a caved-in tunnel, and our available routes around left much to be desired. Doubly so when a cautious scholar like Anders goes head-to-head with a brash combat veteran like Fulham. They couldn't decide on the safest option, blew up quite spectacularly. The pressure was clearly getting to them both. After a fashion, they both went to cool off at opposite ends of the camp, and the witness, with little regard for the tension, appeared to record the entire spat. She then attempted to get both of them, separately, to provide explanations to her, even turned her eerie eyeless gaze upon myself and one other, lenses lit by those candles of hers, and probed us for our recounting of events. Then, without so much as turning a hair, she politely pointed out a shortcut. She'd known the best route the entire time. At my wit's end, as we walked, I asked her why she'd waited so long to offer her suggestion. The witness felt it more pertinent to record, as she put it, the dispute in leadership and morals. She went on to explain, in an odd and somewhat detached way that expeditions deep into uncharted territory live and die by their leaders, their philosophies, their allegiances and methods, their aims, and how it is remembered in the eyes of those present. When I attempted to brush it off for what it was, the two of them simply butting heads, the witness seemed unconvinced. "Perhaps," she said simply, but then noted that equally so, she and I could have just as easily witnessed the inciting incident that decides the tide of this entire expedition. I just hope she is for once incorrect. And there we are, my lovelies. I hope you enjoyed. This is editing me here, having totally forgot to script an outro, so I'm just kind of doing this off the dome. A big special thanks again to ValleyBoar for agreeing to a collab. If you haven't already, go and check out his half of the collab, give him a like, comment, subscribe, show your love, all that jazz. Also, apologies if any of the audio was a bit funky during this recording. We've got a lot of summer storms in my neck of the woods right now, so I had to record my lines under a blanket and kind of scrub the audio quite a bit for noise, so please forgive me. The gorgeous people you see on screen right now are my Patreon supporters, whom I would happily hide under a blanket with from any summer storm. They support what I do, get behind the scenes sneak peeks, high quality images from my videos, and have earned my undying allegiance. Each of them may call upon me once as a summon in Smash Bros, but I won't be very good, so you have been warned. What do you think of the witness? What would you have done differently with her design? What do you think of ValleyBoar? Hint hint, go and check out the videos so that you can leave me an opinion on what you think. Aren't they cool? Aren't they sick? Do you think that I should continue to do completely unhinged stuff like that Moto bit? I ended up cry laughing so hard while making that I had to show ValleyBoar just that bit in advance, and my cat got worried about me because I got the hiccups from laughing so hard. My brain might well be broken, so yikes. Let me know any and all of your thoughts if you have the time. And speaking of time, my lovely friends, I will hopefully see all of you next time.